Welcome to episode 6 of the Who and What Movie Podcast, the podcast created to share, praise, and love the movies we love. I'm your host, Mark Denny, and it's been a while, and I'm sorry for that. But we're back. This is the flagship series. Hopefully you guys are liking the movie reference, and I'm glad to bring this show back. I have an awesome guest for this episode, one that I've been anticipating since I started making the Who and What Movie Podcast. And my guest is none other than my beautiful, intelligent fiance, Lisette Ayabar.
Hi, everyone.
Woo-hoo!
I'm
here.
So excited to finally do this. I've been asking Mark Anthony to put me on an episode, and he's like, nah.
Really?
Nah, they're not ready for you yet.
Yeah? Wow. I guess that's pretty accurate. But you did make an appearance on the movie reference, though.
I did.
Yeah, you knocked it out of the park with your hosting skills, so...
Gracias.
De nada. So, what movie did you decide to bring to us to talk about?
One of my favorite childhood movies, actually. Matilda
came out in 1996. 90s babies, where you at?
Ooh, 96.
Oh, yeah. 96.
I was 5 when the movie came out.
I was 6.
Wait. So I was like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I just turned 5.
I
just turned 5 because it came out in August. August 96, so I had just turned 5. But I don't think I saw it, like, the year it came out.
I know I didn't. I know that I had to see it when I was in, like, first grade. So I had to see it, like, maybe a year later when it came out.
You were 6 in first grade.
Well... math. Let's see, 89. I hold on. Let's do the math. Let's see. 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96. Oh, I was 7? Does that sound right?
Oh, well, you are a November baby.
I am a November baby, so it's whatever. I that's embarrassing. I must have been 6 or 7, maybe 8 by the time I actually got to see this movie. And I remember my grandparents had it on VHS.
Yes, good old VHS.
Back in the day.
You had to rewind it, and you got to wait for it to be rewinded. And then sometimes the little film thing would mess up if you did it the wrong way.
Did you guys ever have like one of those like rewinding machines on the side?
Yeah, you had to like it was like a huge cassette player, and it was strictly just for rewinding.
Yeah, it was pretty fast.
Yeah,
I remember, but I remember it was like an essential thing to have because like the video stores, you had to rewind.
Yeah, when you returned it.
Yeah. Wow. So Matilda is directed by Danny DeVito. For those of you who don't know, Danny DeVito is actually a pretty famous actor.
He's a penguin in Batman.
He's the penguin in Batman Returns. Shout out to Monica. He's also in Twins, and I think he's doing It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia right now. He's on there. He's been on there for years. So, yeah, he directed this movie. He stars in it. Man, the parents in this movie are awful.
Yes.
Terrible parents. I don't even know how they got away with some of that. Like, I know it's a 90s movie and it's supposed to be this children from the child's perspective, but it's pretty bad how the adults are portrayed in this movie.
Yeah, and they leave her home alone, like, and the mom has no care in the world, like, just leaves her. Like, there's soup on the stove if you get hungry, and just leaves all day to play bingo. And they didn't enroll her in school.
Yeah, she was 6.
Yeah, she was 6. She was supposed to start school already, and they don't enroll her, and it's terrible.
For those of you who don't know, Lisette's a teacher, and I am a retired teacher. So we this movie actually brought back a lot of memories for my days of teaching. And I was like, man, why didn't I watch this before I went into the profession? Um, but it's not that bad. It's a fun, it's a rewarding experience,
Yes.
and but I will take little jabs here and there because life, it happens. Let's see. I forget the name of the girl who plays Matilda. I'm gonna look it up right now live. I'm sorry.
Mara Wilson.
Mara Wilson. I liked this actress when I was younger, like, because she would pop up in a lot of children's movies, and I was a big fan of Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in there, and I don't know. She was just one of those very familiar faces, and I think at that time it was her, and then like Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. Like, those were the kids that I got to see in the limelight, kind of deal, I guess.
And it's funny you bring them up because I was doing some research because I knew that we were going to do this podcast and I wanted to have as much information.
Yeah.
But Danny DeVito actually wanted Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen to play Matilda's part.
Wow.
But they had to turn it down because they were too busy filming that Paris movie.
Oh, what? Yeah, I know what you. I remember when that came out, but
Yes. So yeah, funny that you bring it up.
they were like the big names at the time. The Full House. TGIF. I remember every Friday I would end up watching an episode of Full House, and You Got It, Dude, and Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen's were huge child actors during the 90s. So you couldn't go a mile without seeing them.
And I'm sorry, it wasn't Paris. It was It Takes Two.
Oh.
The movie It Takes Two.
Oh, I remember that
Yes.
one with Steve Guttenberg and I believe Christy Alley. But yeah, Matilda. So what made you choose this one?
My sister and I, Monica, we would watch the heck out of this movie. Like, it was on at home every single day. And I remember my dad making comments to like, ay, otra vez esa película. Like, oh, you're watching that movie again. And Monica, and it got to the point to where like, we'd memorize the lines and we'd like say the lines with the Trunchbull or with the dad, or like we just knew what was gonna happen, and the movie never seemed to get old.
Yeah.
And we would just watch it all the time. and it was like our bonding time, like, Monica and
She's an awesome sister.
She's the best sister ever. But I was like, come on, let's do this, let's do that. And Monica's like, yeah. But she would always want to watch Matilda with me. So that movie was always playing on at home. Like, it brought back a lot of memories. There were scenes as I was watching it this time around as an adult, because I hadn't seen it in a really long time.
Yeah.
It had been years. So seeing it brought back those good childhood memories with my sister, and, just being kids, reenacting scenes, and, man, wishing, like, oh, I wish I was Matilda. I wish I had those superpowers. And, yeah, it just brought back a lot of good memories.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely captures, like, a child's imagination, and I know that the magic parts had a big effect on me, and I think to this day, anybody that has magical abilities makes me dream, like, oh, that'd be so cool if I could do that,
Yeah.
And I think at that time, Sam's here to make an appearance, and I think at the time it definitely was. I remember when I watched it, I felt like it took forever to get to the magic part.
Yeah.
Right? To show her powers and do the big famous do 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 do.
Yes.
But when watching it today, we actually rewatched it for the podcast, and it was like, wow, the whole movie feels I don't. Maybe it's a nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a '90s movie. Grew up on it, but it felt magical. The whole movie, the whole experience was like, wow, this movie's
Such a good movie.
yeah. It's a good watch, and I remember I used to kind of dismiss it because it would play on Freeform, or what is it, ABC Family or whatever it was. One of those channels where like
It was always on.
always on. It was like, oh, I'm so over this movie. But,
Oh no!
but I think I needed some time to go away, and like now I have such a deeper appreciation for it, and it definitely left a different impression on me, and also gave me that feeling of that childlike essence that
Yeah.
you know that I think it does a really good job at capturing.
Yeah, and then there were parts too where, of course, like when we were younger, we were learning English, so yeah, we knew some of the words that they were saying. But now, like, I was like, oh, it said that, like, oh, okay, or just not even that, but like as an adult, like just seeing like what the adults would say. I think there was a part where the mom's on the phone talking to her friend,
Yeah.
and Matilda comes in and coming home from school on her first day of school, and she's like, "How was school, honey?" But then she kind of disregards her, and she's talking on the phone. And I never really paid attention to what the mom was really saying.
Yeah.
How she's like, well, it's not even his baby, or
Yeah, they're not even real.
They're not, yeah. Or yeah, talking about the the woman's breast, how they're not even real.
Yeah.
So it was just seeing it from a different perspective, I guess you could say. When we would first see it, as a kid.
Yeah.
You're watching it just entertainment, like,
Yeah.
oh, cool, But now as an adult, like, you catch things and you're like, oh, wow, okay.
And I think that's what the whole thing has been. Like, when they make children movies, they want to make it so that adults don't feel the dread of going.
True.
So there's always a little bit of a risque dialogue that no one notices except for the adult.
Yeah.
Like, I speaking of Mara Wilson, with Mrs. Doubtfire, I didn't realize how, I guess not, I don't want to say raunchy, but that movie is a lot more, there's a lot more to it than all the physical comedy that I liked when I was a kid.
Yeah.
There's a lot of humor that you never catch, and I think that's probably the best part about revisiting movies, especially when it's from your childhood, going, oh man, I did not know they said that, or how did they get away with that? Because
yeah.
the ratings were so different back in the day, and they were still trying to figure things out, and it's like stuff that would be, I don't know, considered PG-13 now was PG back then.
Yeah.
Or PG, it's very rare for a PG movie nowadays. Now it goes from G to PG-13, I feel, but yeah, it's very interesting, all of that. But you wanted to talk about any particular scenes that you enjoyed from the movie?
Yes, the pancake making scene, the famous pancake making scene. I remember watching that as a kid, like how she throws the soup away in the trash can, and then she's over here like making her pancakes. And when I was younger, I was like, man, when I grow up, I'm going to make pancakes every morning. Or, man, when I grow up, I'm going to be cooking, and I can't wait to grow up and cook. It was all lies. It was lies. That scene just gave me hope. Like, man, I'm going to have my life together. I'm going to cook pancakes. I can't wait to cook pancakes. I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that scene was just it made me want to rush to grow up, and now I wish that I hadn't rushed to grow up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I guess it plays into the character, that independence, and I think a lot of us, growing up, wanted to feel independent and, make breakfast, and now that we have the ability to, all our hopes and desires of like, I'm gonna have pancakes every day of my life is a little more far-fetched.
Yeah, one, it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Two, I don't know
mess, you gotta clean.
Well, I don't know how it would look if I ate pancakes for breakfast every morning.
Probably look like Miss Thun. What's her name?
The trunch
Ball.
Trunch Bowl.
Such weird names. It's definitely, when I was watching it, I was like, man, these names wouldn't be in anywhere else except for a children's book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and thank you to Donald Raw, who wrote the book, and that's actually where it originated from. Ronald Dahl. I'm like Matilda, how she mixed up Charles.
Oh, the Dickens. Yeah, good callback. Yeah. So this whole movie starts off with Matilda, like, her parents are awful. Right off the bat, she discovers the library on her own. Somehow is able to walk 10 blocks.
How was that not alarming for people? Like, why did no one call CPS? There's a random little girl walking to the library every single day alone. Did the librarian not, like, ask questions? Like, nowadays, you'd call CPS right away. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what we forgot to say before we continue this?
Spoiler alert!
Yeah. I told you, it's the one thing I always forget, because we just get into these conversations, and it's so nice to keep talking about the movie, because you're recording a conversation with someone who watched that movie.
True.
You know, you have the same love, so you forget to say, "Oh, spoiler alert," because there's other people listening. Anyways.
But who hasn't seen this movie? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of younger people that probably haven't seen this movie. Understandable. Go watch it. It's amazing.
Yes, definitely check it out. So she discovers the library, and you know, this is the thing I think I was always envious of Matilda growing up, was because I was a notorious non-reader. Like, I preferred books like Where's Waldo, I Spy. My parents had a real difficult time to get me to read, and my mom specifically always would have to resort to, do you want me to get your father, to get a spank? But she loves books, and I've been kind of envious of people who really love books, and I've just started dabbling lately. But, like, were you a big book reader growing up?
Not as big as Matilda. I don't think I would really read books. What I remember is my mom making me read the newspaper in Spanish. La Opinión. But I do remember her, like, sitting me down, and she would always make me read the newspaper and it was in Spanish because I had to learn how to read in Spanish. Like, that was a thing. And thank you, Mom, for making me read in Spanish. But reading books, I mean, I would, but like I said, not like Matilda. I also remember this one book I read one time. And I don't remember the name of it, but it was about a boy and his mom, and I remember they drove somewhere to school, I think. I remember, and I don't know why this memory sticks so much when it comes to books. That's the first memory I think of. I remember reading this book with my uncle. He used to live with us, and I remember one day I sat down, and he sat down next to me, and we were reading a book, and I remember getting stuck on the word okay.
Oh, yeah. I remember you told me that.
But okay was spelled, it wasn't spelled O-K-A-Y. It was just the letter O and the letter K.
Yeah.
And I had the hardest time. I was like, how do you say this word? And I don't remember my uncle ever correcting me either. Like, I felt like maybe we were both struggling on how to read it. I don't know. All I remember is, like, saying something like, "Awk." Like, that's how I would pronounce it. And then I don't know how I came to the knowing that it said okay. Now I know that it says okay.
Yeah.
But I blame my bilingualism. But yeah, that's the one memory that I have about books. I do remember reading this book actually when I was younger, Matilda.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it. Yeah.
And we actually picked up a copy ourselves, and we just wanted to read it for nostalgia purposes.
Yes.
But yeah, so she discovers the library, and she has that joy. She laughs. And
Oh,
it's
her
like
laugh.
magical.
Yes, her laugh in that scene, like just how much she's enjoying reading this book. It's that genuine laugh, and that scene just makes me want to go read a book.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does, and it makes me think of our kids, our future kids.
Yes.
And it also brings me back to one of my favorite places at school. Even though I wasn't somebody who would pick up a book and read, was going to the library though.
Mm-hmm.
That I loved going there because the librarian had like all these cool little places that you could chill, like you can hang out and read and hide, and I love that about the library. And it was a quiet place. I like to be alone with my thoughts sometimes. So reading books at the library was well, I guess playing I Spy at the library was always a really good time. And then so now she gets a library card, and she's able to get a bunch of books, and we see her grow up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then of course her father is a real piece of work. Selling he's buying
He buys used he buys used car parts like illegally or stolen car parts.
Yeah.
And he uses them on really old raggedy garbage cars, and he revamps them up.
Yeah.
But the way he revamps them up, like he turns the speedometer backwards, but the speedometer doesn't give you the miles. It doesn't.
It doesn't?
It tells you the speed.
But
It's the odometer that gives you the number of miles, not the speedometer.
I learned something new there too. I just took it as it was. Like,
no.
Sorry, I left a speedometer. It was a little inside joke between us.
Yeah, I was reading the book, and I was reading it out loud, and once again, my bilingualism got in the way. And I was reading speedometer. I was saying speedometer.
Yeah.
Speedometer.
And I didn't notice. I just let it go.
I read it like 3 times that way. And he let me.
How else are we going to learn? Like
He let me. It wasn't until like the 3rd time that I caught myself. I was like, wait, this says speedometer.
Yeah, we had a good laugh about that one.
But yeah, he turns I guess in this fantasy world, the speedometer back. That way it looks like the car has less miles. And he sells cars.
Yep, and usually they break down
after a couple weeks.
Yeah, he's a crook. I'm not a crook.
And that's how Matilda got into school, because he sells a car to Miss Trunchbull.
Trunchbull. It's so hard to remember. Trunchbull. And they're called the Wormwoods. Wormwood.
Wormwood.
See what I mean? Like, as much as I love movies, like when they do like these unusual names, it's so hard to remember. And like I remember with Tenet, we kept calling it was a cat, whatever. Her name was something else. Anyways, so she gets to go to school, and she is introduced to more darkness because she's already got darkness at home. Now she has to experience it at school, and she thought so like.
She thought what every kid thinks.
Yeah, it's gonna be magical.
School. Like, yay, school, and then you get there and.
Trunchbull. I know a few Trunchbulls in my day. I'm not being mean. Okay, so now I lost my train of thought. So yeah, she ends up going to school. She gets some friends, but it's of course it's
Lavender.
like
Lavender's
it's
so nice.
yeah, lavender. It's such a torture chamber.
Yeah, and there's
Um,
literally a chamber, the
yeah,
chokey.
yeah, the chokey
I used to be terrified
of the
of the
chokey of
chokey.
actually existing.
Yes, of it actually existing and like, oh my gosh, my teacher, my principal was going to lock me up in the chokey.
Yeah, yeah, not to be trusted. And then of course throwing the kids.
Yeah, with from the pigtails.
Yeah, like I don't. Oh,
Do
man.
I allow do I allow pigs at school? Are you a pig?
She's such a good performer as
Trunchbull.
Trunchbull. She's so that actress. I don't even know who it is, but she does such a good job in that role.
Her name is Pam Ferris.
Pam Ferris. There you go, Pam Ferris, and she is scary. They use every trick in the book to show how ugly her character is. Not just not physically, just like they
she's
do.
an ugly person.
They zoom in on her. They show her. She's wearing these like almost like bodybuilder clothes. Like I feel, and she's very menacing. She's got messed up teeth. And she's just. You could tell the anger runs through, and they do a lot of good close-ups to her and everything on that. So Matilda also gets to meet a wonderful teacher as well.
Miss Honey.
Miss Honey.
Oh, I always wished I had a teacher like Miss Honey, and I feel like I did as a kid. I feel like I encountered a few Miss Honeys along the way, and I always wanted to be a Miss Honey.
You are Miss Honey.
as a kid,
You're so sweet.
Thank you. As a kid, I always wanted to be a teacher, and maybe this also helped me think like I want to be a teacher because when I was younger, I remember sitting in our room. I had a whiteboard. My dad got us a whiteboard, and I would put this whiteboard on top of those like big like storage tubs.
Uh-huh.
And then we had a small chair, and I would have Monica sit on the floor, and we would play school, and I always had to be the teacher.
Of course.
And
Monica, sit down. Sit at the floor.
And Monica just kind of went along with it. Like I would tell her, she's like, okay. She would just, poor Monica, man. She would just go along with whatever I told her to do. Like, okay, you're gonna do this addition problem, and she would do it. And then I remember I would imitate my teachers, which is what kids actually do, because I've caught my kids before, like
Ahora.
I've caught my kids before sounding just like me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is that how I sound? Is that what I say? And so every kid imitates their teacher,
Yeah.
1 point.
Yeah, at 1 point for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, Mark Anthony makes fun of me because every time he would walk by my classroom, all you would hear is, ahora van a hacer esto, y ahora. So.
But it wasn't just that. It's just I could hear you down the hall as well.
I teach with my door open.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not being mean.
No.
It's just your voice carries.
Yeah.
Or maybe I was just paying attention to it. So now Miss Honey comes in, and she's the sweetest teacher, and Matilda is introduced to this, this school, this questionable school that could be torturous, and then she's still dealing with her parents, but meanwhile she discovers a power within.
Yes.
And she's able to actually use powers. Which is every kid's dream.
Yes.
I wish I could move a door closed. I wish I could feed myself cereal. Like all these things that she's able to do is really cool, and I kept admiring whenever she used her powers, because obviously they used a bunch of tricks back then. Some of it was CGI, of course.
They had CGI back then?
Yeah, a little bit. Like they have they put on like a green screen hand and move stuff. But a lot of the times too, they would do other things. They would use mechanisms that cause the cabinets to open and shut, and
Yes.
there's not like a bunch of people there pulling stuff. Like some of it is, and then other times it's mechanical stuff.
Yes, and they actually like the throwing scenes.
Yeah.
What they would do is they would have like a wire that would be attached to the kid, and that's what would make the kid look like they're flying.
Yeah.
Or the chalk as well. They would have it hanging from a wire and they would move it. And what they actually did is the chalk was made out of, on the inside it had a magnet. And then they had the board. And then on the other side,
yeah.
On the other side, there was someone with a magnet on the other side. This is the scene when Matilda is writing the message to the Trunchbull, pretending to be Miss Honey's dad.
Yeah.
So the person would be behind the board, and that magnet behind the board would obviously attach to the magnet, because we know that's how magnets work. Fast and Furious 9 taught us that. Anyways. So the magnet behind the board would attach to the magnet on the chalk, and the person would have to write, I guess, backwards. The message for it to write on the chalkboard. I learned this. Thank you, IMBD. Just kidding. Thank you, Looper.
Man, she did some research. Actually, it was a coincidence because we had planned this last month that we were going to do this episode, and we were just trying to find the time to do it, and then Looper actually did a video of like how it was made, and I was like, wow, what a coincidence.
It was a sign.
Yeah, it was a sign that it had to happen. But so, see, that's the thing, is like stuff like that they did to try to make it as magical as it is. That's why I have such an affiliation, what's the word? Infatuation with 90s movies, because they didn't have all the do's and whistles.
And they still made it happen.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you go back to the 80s and 70s, it's the same situation. They used what they had to make it. But for me, I guess because I grew up in the 90s, those movies are magic, you know? And now it's like, I don't know, it doesn't feel the same. But at the same time, it's an achievement. Yeah. It's something awesome that's never been done before. But I'm just saying, there's something about it, that feeling of, wow, how did they do that? Oh, you know what? We just, like you just said, with the magnets, and someone wrote in reverse. So it was able to be captured in real time. So after that, Matilda's on an adventure with Miss Honey. And probably I was actually pretty scared during the sequence when they break into
the
Trunchbull's house.
And see, I completely forgot about that scene, and then the scene when Matilda goes back.
Yes.
But yeah, the scene when they break into the Trunchbull's house, and they almost get caught.
Yeah.
It was very nerve-wracking. It had you like in suspense, like, oh my god, oh no, even though we've seen it already.
Yeah. I was just like, wait a minute, this isn't Jurassic Park. Like, because the scene in Jurassic Park when they're in the kitchen is very scary or whatever. But this one, I was like, oh my gosh.
That's actually a reference to it too. I guess the part where she goes up to the mirror she breathes out. They did that purposely. But that was
later on.
That was another scene
when she goes back.
But yes, yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, that's why they did it, because they
funny.
wanted to refer back to Jurassic Park, and I guess I have seen Jurassic Park, but I don't remember what's.
Oh, it's the raptors when they go to the kitchen door and they.
Yes.
When they,
Yes, so that's why they did it.
Wow, that's cool. But yeah, it gave me that same feeling I felt when I saw Jurassic Park, and in the house, I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what it was. Maybe it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I definitely felt it this time around.
Yeah.
And like I said, or like we've been talking about, is like this movie is part of our childhood, but I think for me being a boy, I was so in love with the magical powers of it all that I don't even remember half the movie. Like, like I was so like, oh, I want powers too, and I would watch those scenes and dance around the house and stuff. But
as it's playing, and
I don't know. I wish my sister would have participated and like turn off the lights for me, or you know what I mean, like turn on the fan or something, so I could feel like, oh, you know, you experience it with me all the time whenever we go grocery shopping or Walmart, and I open the doors with my hands.
And you just gotta go along with it. Life's a movie sometimes.
Life's a movie.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. And so yeah, that scene was pretty intense, but they were able to get out without a scratch.
Yeah, and the part where I think now, like the part where she's under the table and she's about to get caught when the Trunchbull lifts the tablecloth, and she's like under the table but against like the top, I guess.
She's doing a Mission Impossible.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm like, how? Like, how did she not see her feet under the tablecloth and did not notice that the table somehow moved?
Or the table, yeah, exactly. It's movie magic.
It is. And I get it. It's okay. I didn't question it back then. Kind of question it now.
Don't dissect it, because then it's gonna start ruining it for you. The whole point is to love the movie, you know.
I love it. I still love it. I love it.
And then of course, like we said, Matilda's very smart as well, and we forgot to mention Miss Honey. Really, I mean, she's shown her smarts with book reading, and she knows how to multiply big numbers, and Miss Honey knows this. She sees this in Matilda.
Which is what a real teacher is all about. And that is the one thing that I did want to mention about Miss Honey and the school setting. So, you know, as a teacher, you know that school for some children is their safe place. Mm-hmm. They may not have the best life or best situation at home sometimes, so when they come to school, some students, you know, that is their safe space. And teachers tend to be that person that they look up to,
it's who they see. And
and that might be the only nurturing person that they have, and that is what Matilda and Miss Honey have, you know. Miss Honey sees this potential in Matilda and even tries to go to the Trunchbull and tell her, like, you know what, this girl is smart.
Yeah,
like,
and that's within seconds.
Yeah, like right away, she's like, she can benefit being in a higher class, and that's what a teacher does. Advocates for their students and wants the best for their students, and that's exactly what Miss Honey does for her. And I love it, you know. Yeah. It just, now watching it as a teacher, it's like, yes, like that's what a teacher does. A teacher wants the best for their students.
I definitely thought that's what I was trying to achieve when I was a teacher. Specifically in kindergarten, I really did try to be the best influence and best role model I could possibly be. And I know wasn't a perfect teacher, but I definitely tried my hardest. But it's teachers like Miss Honey or like Lisette that really just, man, they just put a fire and inspiration into the world of education, and it's definitely something to be admired and respected. It's a lot of hard work and dedication. And the kids need that, you know.
Yes, and you definitely left a very positive impact in your kids. To this day, I'm walking, the other day I was walking down the hallway, I was just walking back to my classroom, and there's two kids in front of me, and all of a sudden I just hear like, oh, hey, you remember Mr. Denny? And the other kid's like, yeah, oh, he was so cool. Like, it's just, and I love hearing the kids talk about you. Even my kids now, they know you. I had them 2 years ago. And they'll randomly just bring you up out of nowhere.
Yeah, they're like, oh, Mr. Denny has a podcast now.
but yeah, you definitely left a very positive impact on these kids.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So, I know I mixed up the story a little bit here with the order of events, but we can talk about when she goes back again to the house to use her powers. Now she's strengthened her powers. Matilda has, and she's able. Go ahead.
The way she strains them, and she realized that she realized that she was able to use them more when I guess she felt angry.
Yeah.
So she had her father yell at her,
And she used it.
And then, whenever the Trunchbull was yelling at the students, when she came in for a visit, and the lizard, the newt,
yeah, the newt. The snake. That's
the
what she
snake,
said.
it's a snake. So
It's a newt.
she realized that she uses it whenever she's, I guess, someone gets her angry or
She's like the Hulk. You won't like me when I'm angry.
But yeah, so she goes back and she uses her powers. But the good thing is she uses them for a good purpose.
She doesn't, and the good part is she doesn't use her powers to necessarily hurt anyone.
Yeah.
And the big turning point in the whole movie anyway is when her father says, what is he says, you when a person's being bad, you have to punish them or something instead of child.
Yeah.
And so Matilda took that as, well, that means adults can be punished too. And it's true, and just, it all connects into that. So you have the two antagonists, the dad and
the Trunchbull.
Trunchbull, who says, I'm big, you're small, then nothing you can do. But then there's like Miss Honey, and how Matilda interprets her dad's words is that, well, adults aren't perfect either.
Yeah.
They may be bigger than you, they may know more, but they also make mistakes, and no matter where you are going to make mistakes, whatever age you are. It's how you learn from them and how you use them. And you have two examples of what not to do, and then you have two examples of what to do with your situation, like Matilda and Miss Honey. So, yeah, so it's really cool when she goes and pretends like she's haunting the house. With all her powers.
And scares her.
She scares her, definitely,
yeah.
and she deserves it because she's a scary lady. They did such a good job at casting her, Pam Ferris. I'm sorry, I will never forget your name again. She did so well. And then, in the meantime of all this chaos that was happening with all the magic powers, her dad's being watched by the FBI, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
the boat salesman.
I feel like now that we're saying the movie out loud, there's so much going on, but this movie is not like convoluted or anything. It's not a lot. It's a very straightforward story. Matilda wants to go to school. She goes to school, and all these other events are happening in between. But yeah, there's so much to enjoy with this movie, with all these different storylines, whether it's the mean parents or the police officers that are boat salesmen, are trying to sell or trying to, I don't know what, warm up the wife or something to see if she's going to give up information.
And so much happens in an hour and a half because the movie's not that long.
No, it's like an hour and 45 minutes or something. Yeah, that's the good thing about the 90s movies. A lot of them were like an hour and a half, hour and 45. That's a good time. I heard Venom is like an hour and a half, so I can't wait to go see that one.
Wonder when that will be.
As soon as possible. I was going to talk about Venom this week, but I wanted to talk with Lisette about Matilda, and so that's why I got changed, in case anybody noticed that. Okay, so then one thing I do want to mention is about with the principal, when she went to go visit the classroom.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so it's an exaggerative scene. However, that's exactly how it feels. When you're a teacher and a principal has to come and observe you.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels like everything has to be pitch black. Like, no one can make a sound. If you breathe wrong, you're fired. Like, it's so intense and it's so intimidating.
Or you cue up your kid. You don't really cue up your kids, but you it's like that formal observation because you're going to get observed. Yeah. We have formal observations once a year.
Yep.
Your principal comes in, observes you to give this amazing lesson in 45 minutes.
Yep.
And you, tell your kids. I know I always tell my kids, they're here to see you. They're not here to see me. They're here to see you and see how you behave, and you need to be well behaved. But yes, that's exactly how it feels.
Yeah, it's that intense, and that scene brought back nightmares. Like I felt it in my spine when we were watching it. I was like, oh my gosh, I am so glad I'm not teaching anymore. No offense, my love. I know you're still teaching. I don't want you to have any pressure because you're a wonderful teacher. But for me, those were always the most difficult experiences. Specifically my first few years because I kept getting. I guess I was known as the bad boy. No, I just kept getting dinged for things a lot. And when I first started teaching, and it's because I was learning it. You know, everything's a learning curve. Unfortunately, going to college didn't teach me everything I needed to know to become a teacher. Mm-hmm. So you have to learn on the fly a lot of the time. And yeah, that scene brought back so many memories. Yeah. I gotta stop thinking about it because I could feel my back is tensing up.
It actually reminds the part when they were cleaning everything up, like they were moving things, like, oh, she's coming today. It reminded me of Mark Anthony's observation a couple years ago when Petra and I helped him clean his room because this man, Mr. Denny, had a mess. So we stayed after school. How many days?
It was
like 2 days. 2 days, and we helped him spiffy up his room because and that's exactly what it reminded me of, like cleaning up the room because this observation is going to happen and it needed to be spotless.
My room was that was the cleanest it's ever been. That just reminded me of the glitter experience I had, but we don't need to get into that.
The glitter experience.
Yeah. So, is there any, now that we talked about Matilda and her punishing adults, is there anything that like was your favorite part? Like, what was your favorite get? Like, haha, that adult deserved it.
The dad.
Yeah, the dad was ugly.
Yeah, he was ugly, and it was so clever the way they used like, you nitwit, and you used like, I guess, made up words, right?
Yeah, it was almost like to cover up cuss words.
Cuss words, yeah. I thought that was very clever, but it was the dad, the glue. I will never forget the glue on his hat, and how they ruined when they went to the Ritz for dinner, and the mom had to yank that thing off or try to yank it off.
And then after that, cut it off, like.
Yeah. I think the dad and that was very clever of Matilda when she dyed his hair or bleached his hair. I don't know peroxide. What. Yeah, and then the hat. He deserved that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I like that one. I really like her when she's able to. I guess the whole house, the haunting of the house. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that sequence of just everything. The clock going off, the posters, or her poster.
The painting.
Her painting getting burnt, and then what's the guy's name? Magnus? His painting coming downstairs and all this stuff, and taking the chocolates. Like, it was a cool little revenge thing. And of course the ending sequence when she runs her out of town is a lot of fun too, when she spins her on the globe and all that.
Yes.
It's such a sweet movie, and it definitely captures the childlike imagination. I think it's, looking back, I feel like it's underrated. I mean, but at the same time, I think when we rented it, it was like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So.
Oh wow! Well, yeah, it's an awesome movie.
Yeah, I was quite impressed. And I don't know. I love. Oh, we didn't talk about yet. Oh, we didn't. The chocolate cake.
Oh, the chocolate cake.
The famous. What's his name?
That
Buster
cake.
Or Buddy?
That Bruce.
Bruce.
That chocolate cake
looks disgusting.
No!
The first slice
looks so good.
But then when she brings the whole thing.
But then when Cookie brings the whole thing and she does the whole wiping her
blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, wiping her nose with her hand. Oh, Cookie.
So gross. But he was able to finish it.
Yes, and thanks to Matilda.
And then he licks it, and then the principal slams the
glass
dish on his
platter.
head. Yeah, I was like, she's so evil. Everyone's gonna write the dictionary for 5 hours after school.
Oh, and they actually stay for 5 hours after school. Like, you see Matilda rolling up in the bus at, like, who knows what time, 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock. You can't do that in the real world.
That's what I loved. I kind of missed that in the 90s movies, cause especially when you're watching this. And this also stemmed, like, I want to go down a 90s route with you, because it's like, I thought of Baby's Day Out. I love that movie when I was growing up. Or The Sandlot.
Yes.
Or Hocus Pocus. It just made me think of all those 90s nostalgic movies. And I lost my train of thought where I was going to go with that. But it made me think of all those movies. And, yeah, I lost my train of thought.
But just how the 90s movies do, like, that kind of that exaggeration.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's where I was going. Thank you. Yes, you got me. The exaggeration of it all. And it's like, yeah, that's, now our movies, they have to be really real, I guess, because the audience would, like, laugh at it. But back then, it was just, like, it was acceptable. Like, having a girl walk 10 blocks by herself, sure. A Baby's Day Out, the baby is going around the whole city of New York avoiding kidnappers. Like, that
and he's just crawling, right?
Yeah, he's just crawling. So it's something about the 90s that they were able to get away with things like that. Whereas, like, it didn't matter about the realm of possibility. It was just like, just have fun with it. And I think I miss some of those movies and that feeling of, let's just have fun. Why do we have to... We don't always have to follow the real world rules. And I think that's why it's so good to go back to
these movies.
Yeah. Exactly. Food fight. You wanted to talk about the food fight.
Food fight. Okay, so the food fight, well, I guess it wasn't a food fight, but the part where they just all start throwing food at the Trunch Bowl as she's leaving
rise
school.
Up.
Yes.
Like Hamilton.
Rise up.
Rise up.
So watching it as a kid, I felt like, how cool would it be if there was a food fight at school? Like, how
with your hair?
Awesome. But seriously, like, what kid doesn't want to be involved in a food fight in the cafeteria, right? Awesome. Like, that was me, little Lisette, thinking, like, yes, like, food fight. Let's have a food fight. Miss Ayabar, on the other hand, OMG. Watching it as a teacher, I was like, what are they doing?
It made me feel bad for the custodians.
It made me feel bad for me because, like, we have breakfast in the classroom.
Oh, imagine if they...
We eat breakfast in the classroom. And especially when they give us cereal on Mondays.
Or jelly.
Or the jelly. Ugh. But cereal on Mondays, and now, especially now that I don't have a sink in my classroom, before it wasn't so bad. But now that I don't have a sink in my classroom, no paper towels, like, oh my God. I just dread any food in the classroom.
Yeah.
So, no food fight.
No. We do not endorse food fights. Please don't do it. It's not good.
Yeah.
And people have to actually clean it up. So
me.
Just like
I have to clean it up.
Just like when we talked about how when we were younger we were gonna have pancakes every day of our life. Well, once you find out how much we have to clean up after ourselves, it's not so cool anymore.
No.
So just think about that. If you do just start a food fight, you are gonna be the one cleaning it up.
Yeah. And yeah, the fact of food getting stuck in my curly hair, I don't know how that would fly.
Yeah. I remember one time someone stuck gum in my hair. Sorry. Someone stuck gum in my hair and my mom had to get, she put me in a bath first, but then she had to get peanut butter to get it out. Like, yeah.
At least
it hurts so much. Because you know my mom.
Yeah.
At first, just yoinking it, just, Mom! That's probably what happened to my hair. No, I'm kidding.
I have a pretty interesting gum story myself.
Oh, yeah?
Somebody by the name of Monica stuck gum in my hair when I was little.
Why did she do that?
I don't know what we were doing, what we were playing. I don't know why she did it. It's because she's Monica. And Monica was mean to me when she was little. She would play little tricks on me. Anyways, I was sitting on the ground. I remember sitting on the floor, and she was like walking around me in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if the gum fell on my hair or if she purposely like took the gum out of her mouth and put it in my hair. I don't know. Thing is, I had gum in my hair.
Yeah.
And I remember we were at home with my dad, and my dad didn't use peanut butter.
He just pulled it out or cut it?
He cut it. They had to cut my hair to get the gum out. Like,
so you look like George Costanza, shaved down the middle of your head.
No. Luckily, I don't think you could notice it, but I do remember that, and I think this must have been when I was like in 3rd grade, so she would have been in like 1st.
Oh, Monica.
Yeah.
Don't you know your sister has powers?
It's
so funny that we talk about how our sisters are similar in a lot of ways, but you say that Monica was the mean one technically.
She was sneaky.
Sneaky. I was the mean one.
Aw,
so,
poor Brit.
But we're best friends now, so it's all good. She forgave me. Is there any... Oh, you know what, though? There's one more thing we need to talk about.
What?
So, speaking of earlier when we said, let's try not to dissect it because, logic, like the table thing. The whole adoption process at the very end. That seems...
If only it were that simple, right?
Just sign a few documents. Don't need it notarized. Don't need to go to the court.
Her version of I found it in a book in the library was like our version of like, oh, I found it online.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seems doable.
It's legit, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's also one of those things that you're just like, yes, Miss Honey deserves to have Matilda, and they live in the house that it's got all fixed up and it's pretty again, and it's so nice, very happy ending, and it's a wonderful movie.
Yeah,
I'm so happy you chose it. Like, I'm happy we got to watch it together too.
It's such a feel-good movie, and then I also realized that I have a Miss Honey outfit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have a Miss Honey outfit.
Yeah. And you rock it.
And I rocked it.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. But I did want to do, I know I already kind of did a little bit, but I wanted to do a little bit of a trivia, or like, did you know,
Yeah.
So we, of course, talked about how Mary Kate and Ashley were actually originally wanted to be the part of Matilda. Mm-hmm. Also, during the filming, Mara Wilson's mother actually passed away from breast cancer while it was being filmed.
Yeah.
So the movie is actually dedicated to her mother, and she pushed through. Mara Wilson pushed through, and she finished filming the movie.
Wow.
But yeah, that was I never knew that.
You got that from.
And IMDb. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then another one was, and you actually mentioned it earlier about the painting.
Yeah.
The painting of
Magnus.
Yes, Miss Honey's father. That is actually a picture of Ronald Dahl.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome how they incorporated that in there. And there's just a lot of references to the BFG. Mm-hmm. Also, which I also mentioned when Matilda was describing her love for Charles Dickens. She accidentally says Darl's Chickens. And so this is actually in reference to one of Ronald Dahl's, Roland. Why do I keep saying Ronald?
I don't know. It's
Roland Dahl, the BFG. So there's a character that continuously mispronounces Charles Dickens' name in that book as well.
Yeah, see? Yeah. I love perusing IMDb trivia That's my go-to website whenever I'm watching a movie or whenever I
Mm-hmm.
need to go. Like, I know that actor. Where have I seen that person before? I always go there. Users put stuff in it all the time, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of the older movies probably are more are pretty solid as far as like the trivia is concerned. Like, you have any more?
Yeah, the chalkboard power. It was actually later used by Stephen King, in The Doctor's Sleep, which is his sequel to The Shining, when he's
Oh,
sending someone a message.
oh.
Yeah.
Did it say for the movie Doctor Sleep or just
It
the?
just says Doctor's Sleep.
Wow, I've been wanting to see Doctor Sleep, but
I
that's scary.
Oh,
It's
for Halloween,
maybe. But
maybe.
yeah, so is there any other thoughts you have on Matilda or?
Um, no, I'm just happy that I got to watch it again after so many years. And it's still one of my favorite movies as a child. Even seeing it as an adult, you know how sometimes you see
Oh yeah,
movies and it just changes your whole perspective. No, it's still definitely one of those movies that will have a special place in my heart.
I can't wait to make you watch Speed and for us to talk about it.
Speed.
Yeah, with Keanu Reeves, my number one.
Uh,
Wow.
yes, we
Be more
will.
excited. Be hyped. Like,
Yes,
yes, yeah, I
Speed.
can't wait.
Woo! Is it
You
like
know,
Fast and
you had
Furious?
me watch Matilda. I'm gonna have you watch
Is
Speed.
it like Fast and Furious?
No, I mean there's fast stuff going
I mean,
on.
it's called Speed.
Gosh,
But yes,
but yeah,
Matilda is such a great movie.
and
Yeah.
it's like it's so fun to see that feeling. I don't know, there's something about that feeling of the '90s and how they
Mhm.
shot it. Not only with the close-ups to show the bad guys, but also there's like a almost like a fish lens view, like a cartoony view when they do
Yeah.
wide angles and stuff, and it's like it reminded me a little bit of like How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the one with Jim
Jim
Carrey.
Carrey. Oh, that one's
Yeah,
such a good movie
so
too.
I
Elf.
yeah,
Well, Elf is more 2000s.
yeah, but I was just talking about like the cartooniness of how the shot
Ah,
looked. Elf
yes.
was a little more uh, you know, updated. But
Yeah.
I was talking, so
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
yeah, that kind of style.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So I think we should just do a '90s like
Yeah.
binge marathon. So hopefully we can. That'd be awesome.
That would
Or
be
Jumanji. We could watch Jumanji.
Jumanji.
That's a good one.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good 90s movies out there. And oh, the 90s were the best. They're the best.
Yep, they were. I agree. Thank you so much for being a guest and for being my wonderful fiance. I couldn't picture a better person to be with, and you are my dream girl, and I'm so happy that we're together.
Aww.
Sorry, I know, it's about movies. But I just, she makes me happy, incredibly happy.
Thanks. And now, hopefully, we can start having our own movie experiences together.
Yes, absolutely, at the movie theater.
Yeah.
Buddy. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Who and What Movie podcast. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate you guys following the Instagram page at the Who and What Movie podcast, following the feed. You guys have been really supportive of my sister and I, our show, The Movie Reference. Been really cool, been really fun. Let's just keep it going.
Oh, and make sure you also go like and follow and buy from Homegirl Design.
Oh,
She is actually one of my preferred vendors for our wedding.
oh,
Yes.
okay,
So
nice.
Homegirl Designs on Instagram,
And Mom and
Facebook,
Cake Pop.
and Mom and Cake Pop.
That's right. Get it, get it, get it. Order, order, order. All right. Thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you guys later.